have all my pieces cut out. What you will need to do is get your top and make sure that you've got your hem, and then you're going to take your piece of card, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it on the arms. You will fold your piece of fabric up 1/4 of an inch and then press it with the iron, then fold it up another 1/4 of an inch like that and press that over with the iron, okay, all the way along, and then we will take that to the machine and we will just sew a straight stitch straight across. So that's my front and back pieces. I have my ruffle and I've done exactly the same, and then I've cut out my 2 arms, and as I say, these are 2-year-old size, and I folded the pieces back just like that. So there we go. So that's all my pieces ready to go. So the first things we are going to do is we are going to come in and we are going to stitch right across the bottom of here. So I'm going to do those 2, and then whilst I'm at it, I'm going to take my ruffle, and on my ruffle I'm going to put some lace. So I should get the lace, and then I will pin that on before I start to do the sewing. So I have decided to just put on some embroidery anglaise lace, and make sure you've got your lace the right way around. Some laces have a right way and a wrong way. Okay, so I'm just going to place it in, and I'm just going to leave a tiny bit over the edge, and then I'm going to pin it all the way along. I don't usually pin like this, but I want it to actually sit straight onto it, so I'm going to pin it on with it like that. You don't want to stretch it. You want to keep it so that it's even, sitting nicely on the top, but you don't want to get a stretched piece on it. So that's pinned, and that's all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to pin the arms on, the lace for the arms on as well at the same time. If you're worried about it, stitch the arms first and then pin the lace on afterwards. I'm just trying to make it a tiny bit quicker for you. If you want to do it like that. Right, so we're going to take this now to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch these all the way across. So I'm just going to put it on. I'm going to keep that pin in until I've got my foot down onto that fabric, and I like my foot to come down so it's actually sitting on the fabric. Okay, just like that, and then I'll take the pin out. I'm just going to come on and do a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to do some back stitches. If you were doing it and you wanted to do it couture, you don't put a back stitch in. You would just go along and leave a long end at both ends and tie it. That's just my machine. And then you just do that last little bit. There we are. And then you can bring that back as a back stitch. Okay, let's do the next one. Exactly the same. I'm going to just do this top piece as we did on that one. I think that looks better. Do top and bottom if you want. And keep going all the way across. Right, here we go now. We're going to do the ruffle on the bottom. Okay, so again I'm going to come in and I'm going to do it at the top on this one. I seem to have pinned it the other way on the other side on this one. So there we go. Right, okay. I'm just going to do a couple of back stitches and then work the way along. And that should be great. I don't know why I've just got a bit on the end there. I just cut that piece of fabric off. I don't know how I've managed to do that. Right. So there we go. So that's that done. So the next thing we are going to do is we're just going to put 2 rows of tacking stitches along this ruffle. Okay, so I'm going to drop it down so it's sitting there on that 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my stitches to my biggest stitch which I've got, which is my tacking stitch, and then I'm going to move my needle over to this side of my foot, and I'm going to do a row of stitches. I'm just going to take my time, do a row of stitches along here. It'll go quite quickly because it does go quickly when you're tacking, but you want to keep it on that edge there. my machine telling me do not put a back stitch in, okay? With the tacking stitch, you don't want to put a back stitch in at all. And there you have it, okay? So I'm going to take that out and we're going to leave a nice long thread, alright? So we've got our long thread. Make sure you've got a nice long thread there. Pull that out the back, put it back underneath, put your foot right on that very edge there, and then we're going to just turn our needle and we're going to move it to the other side, okay? And then we're going to run the stitches exactly the same right the way along. Don't put a back stitch in, lift it up and pull out those long threads, okay? And then you can put that piece over to one side. So this is our arm, it's all laying lovely, and we're going to place it in here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to stitch from here all the way down to here, okay? And we're going to do that on both sides. So I'm just going to pin this down. I'll get a better view of it on for you. Let's move that one out of the way. I'm going to pin this down like this on both sides. There, and there. And the same on this one. So what you would do first, obviously, is just go along and do your, where you've turned up your two pieces, you would just go along and stitch all the way across the bottom of both pieces, okay? So you've got a nice hem on the bottom of your skirt, and you do that in exactly the same way as we've done that. You would take your card here, you would bring it on, you would fold it back 1/4 inch like that, iron across the top, and then bring it over again, fold it back another 1/4 inch just like that. So you've got that all folded, so it would be looking like this. You can pin it if you want to, but you don't need to. And then you would just come along and you would stitch right across that piece. So you'll have your folded hem here. You're just going to basically place it under, make sure that you're sitting, sorry that was my hand, sitting right on the edge. When your needle is going to go in, it's going to go right on the edge of this seam here, and then just do a back stitch and then go all the way along and finish with the back stitch, and do that on both sides of your fabric, okay? And then we're going to come in here, we're going to place once you've done both sides, I'm going to place our foot down. I'm going to make sure that it's sitting right on that very edge there, on the 3/8 inch. We're going to come in, just give it that thread, and then we're going to do a back stitch. And I'm going to go all the way down. Oh, just before I start, make sure that you are back onto your correct stitch, because I wasn't, so I'm going to go back and do that again. You probably don't need as many back stitches as that. Okay. Then we're going to go all the way down. I forgot to turn my stitch back, but always try and remember, if you can, after you've done a gathering stitch or a zigzag stitch or whatever you might be doing, which is different from your normal stitch, you need to change it back, because otherwise you'll get on and you'll start stitching the wrong way, and then what happens is you'll find that those stitches won't hold. Once you start moving around or pulling it on or whatever, you will find that it'll just, all those stitches will just pull out. And that's why they're like that. I'm just going to go like that, and I'm not going to end my stitches right at the end. I've ended back here, so that when I cut them off here, nice and close, so I don't get both ends in, you won't get an end coming down underneath your fabric there, okay? And then we're just going to come back up here whilst we're on this side, and we're just going to zigzag all the way down, alright? So I'm going to come in, put a bit underneath there. You could do a French seam there if you wanted to. You know how to do the French seam now. But just for quickness, I'm going to show you how to do just an ordinary one. And we're doing quite ordinary ones on this, because I'm thinking that this might be for people who haven't, this is much easier I did a back stitch, that's why it's making that noise. But this is a much easier pattern to follow for somebody who is a beginner. Go right over the end, and I'm going to go back. Okay, so we turn it to the other side, and then we're just going to go down and do back stitch. Okay, and then all the way down to the end. There we go. Okay, and again I'm going to just take that out and cut that thread there. And then we're going to come all the way back up. I'm going to cut that thread as well at the top. And then we're going to run up with our zigzag stitch. Now, and these pieces are the arms which we've prepared. So we're taking our arm and we're going to just stitch the two side pieces right up to here. Okay, so I'm going to pop a few pins in. Put one in there. Those two pieces meet nicely together. And what you might find is where your lace is, because obviously it's got the ups and the downs and that sort of thing, it might not fit exact, so you might have to just move it a tiny bit over to get that to lay nice and flat there. Okay, so just going to come on. I'm going to put it on so it's on the edge of that one rather than on the edge of that one. Take out my pin. And I didn't do what I just said we needed to do. I didn't put my stitch back and I started off with a zigzag stitch. Lucky I hadn't got too far. Take out that pin. Again, we're doing this on the 3/8. And we're just going to come up a tiny bit further. We'll stop when we get to that where it started to curve, okay? Keeping those two pieces together nicely. And a back stitch. Okay, so that's one. Cut your threads. And what we will do here is we'll just remove that extra piece of lace which was on the side, because we wanted it to marry up so it was roughly the same way. And then we'll go back and do our zigzag again, okay? Just get it on just underneath. Turn it to your zigzag stitch. And back. All the way down to the end. There we go, and just do a back stitch. There we are. Okay, that's that one. Remove your threads. Do the same with the other arm. And now we're just going to come in and pin the two arms together. So we've got, this is our right side of our dress. So you'll have your sleeve like that. Okay, so that's your sleeve like that. And you're going to place that seam there on the inside. It's going to go in and it's going to sit against that seam on that side. And I'm pressing that one that way to the back of the front, and I'm pressing the other one the other way so that the two middle pieces sit exactly together like that. Okay, and then we'll just come up through here and we'll pin all the way along. So we've got two nice curves and they're just going to pin them together. And then we're going to come in and we're going to stitch around here. So pop it underneath, it's underneath the foot. Okay, take that first pin out. Just getting caught up my pins. Just do a very, take your time, back stitch. Okay, I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way of the camera, that's why I'm not doing it so that, pushing it so there. Right, and I'm coming up to that pin, I'm going to slip my pin out. Pop this in as well. And when you get to here, you sort of need to turn it a little bit. So you want that still to stay there, and you want to sort of come in and just pull it around slightly so it's still on that edge, okay? There we go, and then we'll finish with back stitch. Okay, right, I'm going to take that one out. And then we're going to come around and we're going to zigzag all the way around. So pop it in underneath. just like that. Change your stitch to your zigzag. And we're just going to come on, back stitch. There you go, and then back stitch. Okay, and do exactly the same on the other side. I'm just going to change my... So the next thing we're going to do is just to take our long piece here, and we're just going to pin the ends. I want these laced and marry up nicely if we can. And married up exactly, would you believe it? Right, okay, and then so this is the inside of it. Just going to come on. So we're going to come on, and then do a back stitch. And I'm going to go all the way down. So then you'll have this one will be one just continuous piece. There we go. And then do a back stitch. And then we're just going to take that out. And then we're just going to do a zigzag down there. And then go back. And back. There we go. And we're going to finish there, just back from the edge so we won't get those long ends. So that's my top. Looked like it was and it is. Okay, so I'm just going to mark the front of this piece as the centre here, and I'm just going to do that by putting a tiny snip in there. Right, so I've got the centre of that marked, and then I'm going to just get the centre of these two pieces. I'm going to put a little notch in it. Right there, so I know where it is the centre of each side. So this is the wrong side of your top, okay, and this is the wrong side of your ruffle. So we're going to just put the two wrong sides together like that and pin them in there. When you're doing this, because you've got that piece sewn together, make sure you don't get a twist in it. You don't want to get a twist, especially when you're doing the bigger sizes. You want them to be exactly the same. So there's my middle piece, there's my middle piece there, and there's my middle piece there. And let's just join them up. There we go, okay. So you've got those two pieces pinned together. Now as you can see, it's just slightly larger, so you just want to come round to the back where you've got those tacking stitches, and you just want to gather it very, very slightly. And do that on both sides. Okay, put that all the way around. So you've got it nice and it's sort of marrying up with the same size. And then we're just going to pin this side all around, and then we'll come back and do exactly the same on the other side. Nicely, there we go. Right, okay, so that's that. It's all pinned on now, and we're going to take it to the sewing machine. So I'm going to start here at the back where that seam is, okay, and I've got my seam and I'm making sure it's laying flat, and I'm making sure that everything underneath is laying flat as well. I'll take that first pin out. Two actually. Put any thread which might be behind, and we're just going to go really slowly around this because I want to keep this on the very edge of that line there. And then we do a back stitch, and then we're going to go all the way around. And there she is, and a back stitch. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. Right. I'm just going to go around, and I am going to just do a zigzag all the way around. There we go. Sorry, so the battery went off, so what I've just did was I just finished off the rest of that zigzag stitch. I'm going to turn back to my normal stitch now, and I did do a back stitch at the end to make sure that was laying nicely. So I'm just going to take that off. Okay, then we're just going to turn this around so that it's sitting the right way. So this will be the right side of your shirt, okay? So I'm just going to pull the whole of my shirt through. Right, so that's all sat lovely on the right side of my shirt. So there's my shirt and that's the right side, okay. Yeah, I'm going to put in a 1/4 of an inch piece of elastic. So if I make a channel at 3/8 of an inch, that should be big enough for that. So I'm going to go around, but what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take this to the iron and give it a quick press so that it's laying nice and flat all the way. I don't want it so that it's buckling off anywhere. I want it to lay lovely and flat. Okay, so I'm going to take that to the iron. And do back stitch. There we go. Right, okay, so coming off that there then, and we're just going to cut those ends. Right, okay, and then we're going to come down now and we're going to put our foot just under that, where that is. So you've got about that much hanging over the side, and that'll be enough for our elastic. And we want to keep both of these pieces laying nice and flat now. Okay. So you want to make sure as you're going around you've got about that much all the way around. And when I get to the end bit, just do a back stitch. Lift that out. So I don't know if you realise what I did there. I went all the way round and then I forgot to leave a hole to put the elastic in. So I'm just going to make a hole here. When you do it, leave yourself about 1/2 inch, a hole about 1/2 inch. So you get a nice bit of hole to get your elastic in, otherwise you won't be able to get your elastic into it. So right, okay, we're going to go around this way because the thing is like that. So I'm just push that in there. Okay, so it's just gone in with the thing and we're just going to pull it all the way around. Now, if you want to, you can put, I've got a massively long piece of elastic, but if you want to, you can put your elastic, a pin in the end of your elastic to stop you pulling the whole thing through. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around, just catching that all the way. Okay, I'm going to leave this out, so I'm going to take it upstairs and I'm just going to try it onto her. Get it the right size for her. If you have got your child with you, it's a really good idea to try it on them to actually get the size you want. Here is the elastic, so I'm just going to come in here and I measured the elastic to the size I wanted it. There we are, that's one side. So I'm just going to come in now and I'm going to stitch it like that across there. Pin in here. I'm just pinning it like that, there, just enough to hold that in place as it goes through the machine. So when you do the elastic, it doesn't really want to go through, okay, so you're going to really want to just pull it from the other end and let it go through. And I've cut my pin in, like I'm just going around the side of my pin. I'm going to take it out now. I'm just going to use that pin just to keep it in place. Okay, one on top of the other. And then go back. And you might just have to give it a gentle pull. And then we'll go forward again. And another back and then we'll cut off. Okay, and that will hold that together nicely. I'm going to cut off the ends, which aren't stitched. One there. One there, and that there. And there we go. Right, okay. And then what I'm going to do now is just pull this so that it goes right inside. So you should be able to pull that, and that will just disappear up inside there. Like that. And then we're going to come in and we're going to stitch over that bit where I made the, where we got our opening. So you should have about half an inch to an inch opening. I've got a bit longer because I mucked it up when I was doing it. Okay, so I'm just going to come straight along there. You can see where it was from where I did it before. I'm just going to come straight in, back stitch, and then right away along to here. Okay. And there we go. And then do a little back stitch. Just keep that extra bit there. And that is your little top all finished. So here it is. It's looking really, really beautifully cute. I'm really pleased with it. I hope that you like it as well. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to decorate this, and we are going to put on some butterflies. So we are just going to work on preparing these butterflies, which I've bought, and putting them onto the top, and I absolutely love the way they look. They're beautiful. And we have the bees, which are here, and we're going to work on preparing these and putting them onto the skirt. We have lace to go onto the skirt, and we have some like a ruffly thing to go onto the bottom of the skirt. So we will be putting on the bees, and we will work out, I'll show you how to cut them out and sew them on. And we have some lace for the bottom of the skirt, and we have a lovely frill to go on the bottom of the skirt. You can just leave yours plain because it does look absolutely beautiful plain, but I'm going to be doing a little bit extra, and I'm going to show you some different bits and pieces which I think would be lovely to go onto the skirt. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and leave me a comment down below, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.